Welcome to Beyond the Clinic, the podcast for health professionals ready to transform their expertise into innovative income streams that extend beyond the traditional clinic model. I'm Sarah Armand-Bushell. I'm a registered dietitian and certified business coach and proud owner of 2 successful online businesses. I understand the leap from the security of a regular salary can feel intimidating because I've been there too. But it doesn't have to be scary, and you do not have to do this alone. Here you'll learn tangible strategies to accelerate your business growth. So if you're dreaming of using your expertise to create impact and a life of freedom, then you're in the right place.
Does it feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing in your business to get clients? Posting great content consistently, growing your audience, sending emails, and yet people seem to take forever to actually buy from you. Maybe you've got followers who've been watching your content for months and months and months, but they've never bought from you. Maybe you've got email subscribers opening most of your emails you send, clicking on the links, but never take the next step to book in with you. Maybe you've had people asking you lots of questions in your DMs, clearly needing help with their problem, but they never end up as a paying client. Now, whilst there can be a lot of reasons for this, one thing that the data shows very clearly is right now people are taking much, much longer to go from interested to ready to buy. In fact, one of my clients took 4.5 years to buy from me. 4.5 years! And before you hear that and think, well, that's not very good, Sarah, it's actually one of the most important insights I've ever uncovered about how people are buying. Because, well, firstly, she ended up becoming my highest ticket client ever in my business. And secondly, because the reality behind it all is that buying behavior has changed dramatically over the last few years. People aren't making decisions the way they used to. So in this episode, I'm going to show you what the data says in my business about how long people are actually taking to buy in 2026 and why decision cycles have become so much longer. But most importantly, we're going to talk about what this actually means for your strategy moving forwards and the practical things you need to be doing now to make sure that your marketing actually works in a world where people are taking longer to make buying decisions. Now, before we dive in, if you haven't listened to part 1 of this series yet, make sure you go back and listen to that first, because this episode builds directly on everything we covered in there. And in that episode, I shared data from 120 clients over a 5-year period, including where they came from and what steps they took before they bought. I'll pop the link in the show notes for you. I recently went back and I did a full data analysis across my business. And I knew I had to share the results with you because they weren't just interesting stats for the sake of it. They were real patterns that evidenced what people were saying and what I had been feeling for a long time. They directly impacted how we should all be trying to run our businesses and attract clients in order to grow our businesses right now in 2026. And because they're numbers, well, numbers don't lie. So let's start with the first and most important finding. The time it takes people to buy has completely changed. When I look back over my data over the last 5 years, that was super abundantly clear. In 2021, the average time someone spent on my email list before buying was 1.6 months. And around 50% of people were actually buying in just a month of joining the list. So at that point, things were moving relatively quickly. People would join my email list, build trust fairly quickly, and convert soon after. Brilliant. But by 2023, that average had jumped to 12.8 months, and only 27% of people are what you would call fast buyers who bought within that first month. Then, fast forward a couple of years, by 2025, that average had increased again to 17.7 months, almost a year and a half. And at that point, only around 12% of people were buying within a month. Over half had now been on my list for a year or longer before they made a decision. And in 2026, I know we're only halfway through the year, but that percentage has shot up even more, with around 65% of buyers on my email list for 12 months or more before they made a purchase. So as you can see, this definitely isn't a small shift or a one-off pattern. It's a fundamental change to how people buy. And just to be really clear, this isn't unique to my business. This is something we're seeing across all industries, but it is especially noticeable in the coaching world, education world, and professional development spaces like ours. People are taking longer to decide. And when you zoom out and you think about why, it actually makes a lot of sense. There's more people starting online businesses, which means there's more options for people and a lot more noise out there. But people are so much more cautious nowadays when making these decisions. And this is partly because a lot of people have had bad experiences investing in the past, and partly due to the huge rise of AI generated content, which has made it harder for people to know what and who they can trust. The bottom line is people need longer to feel safe enough to invest. And this is a really important lesson to learn and to keep in mind for your content strategy. People need more trust and more reassurance before they invest. So you've got to show them who you are, what you stand for, and why they can feel safe when working with you. Okay, I've got some good news for you. If people are taking, let's say on average, 12 to 18 months to buy from you, that actually means that your content that you produce now is working much harder than you probably think it is. So every post you write, every email you send, every webinar you run, every talk you do, it isn't just for today. It's actually doing a lot more long-term work for you than you might realize. The mistake most people make is that they expect immediate results. They post for a few months, maybe they don't see the clients coming in straight away, and so they just assume that nothing is working and they give up on posting consistently. But chances are your content is working. You just can't see the payoff yet. And I know this because I've seen it play out in my own business. One of my highest paying platinum clients inside Accelerate has been on my email list for 4.5 years before she signed up. So she spent 4.5 years watching my content, listening to my podcast episodes, reading my emails, following along before she ever took action. And when she finally did decide to invest, she didn't go for the small, cheapest way to work with me. She went straight in at platinum, my highest ticket offer. My data shows that the people who take the longest to buy often become your best and most profitable clients, because when they're finally ready, they're ready to go all in on themselves. So this is just a reminder that your marketing has a much longer tail than you think. Now, because it takes people longer to buy from you, that means you need to be really focusing on email in your business. I'd go as far as saying that email is your most valuable business asset, not your Instagram following or your website traffic, your email list. Because email is typically where that long-term 12 to 18 month buying journey actually plays out. This is when someone moves from discovering you to slowly building trust to eventually being ready to buy when the timing is right for them. And in my business, the data definitely backs that up. 46% of buyers attended a webinar before they purchased from me, and I haven't run a webinar since April 2025. And yet 47% of 2026 buyers still had a webinar in their history. So this shows that trust built from a live event pays out for way over 12 months. And the reason why email is so important here is because email is the thing that keeps you in people's world long after that initial webinar or touch point has happened. So email is absolutely essential in a world where people are taking longer to buy. First of all, keep emailing consistently, even when it feels like nobody's reading your emails or acting upon them. I promise you, they are. Secondly, pair your email with live events like webinars, because that combination can help really speed up trust. Now, it's worth reminding you here that there's definitely two different buyer types in all our audiences right now. There's the fast buyers, so those who are ready to buy within, an hour to maybe up to 3 months. These people arrive ready. So maybe they've been referred to you. Maybe they've seen a social post or an ad that hit at exactly the right moment. Maybe they've hit a breaking point and they just need help right now. These people don't need long nurture. They just need a very clear path to purchase. And then you have the slower nurture buy later buyers. So those are the people who buy within maybe a 6 to 3 year window, 4 years even, like that client who was on my list for 4.5 years before she purchased. These people just need time. They download your freebies, they attend your webinars, they read your emails, they listen to your podcast, they watch your YouTube, they read your blogs for months or even years. Now, if your business is only set up for one buyer type, you're going to lose the other. So ideally, what you need is something for fast buyers, your buy now buyers, a direct path that places an offer in front of them straight away. And those offers need to be really clear in your emails, simple, easy yes ways to work with you, and content that openly shows people how to take that next step. And then you also need a nurture path for the buy later, slower buyers. So things like your email sequences and multiple lead magnets and the longer form content where people can feel connected to you. And of course, those live events that keep building trust over time. Now, from my experience of working with lots of different healthcare professionals, most don't have either of these two pathways built well enough. So I'd really recommend that you take a step back and look at your current setup and ask yourself whether you're actually giving both types of buyers a clear way to move forwards. Now, I know throughout this episode and the last episode, I've thrown quite a lot of information and statistics and numbers and data at you. But this isn't just interesting data, it's something you should really take seriously in your own business if you want to consistently get clients and actually keep up with how buying behavior is changing. So here's a reminder of what you need to start doing. First, start tracking. If you're not already recording where your clients come from and how long they've been in your world before buying, start now. Even a simple spreadsheet is enough. Make sure you're asking all your clients who buy from you where they first found out about you and what made them buy, because you can't improve what you're not measuring. And if you don't know how to track this data, come and talk to me, because we need to make sure we get this spot on for you. Secondly, play the long game with your email list. Commit to emailing consistently every single week, regardless of what's happening in your business right now. The data is crystal clear on this. This is what builds trust over time and leads to sales later. Thirdly, run live events like webinars and challenges. Give people a way to experience you live, because my business shows that this can be one of the strongest ways to build trust, and people will come back to you long after you've run those events. Fourth, stop measuring success only by this month's revenue or inquiry numbers. Start paying attention to other things like your email list growth, like your email clicks and open rates, and the amount of people booking those discovery calls from those emails. Those are the early signs of clients who will come in months down the line. Fifth, consider creating more long-form content if you're not already. So things like podcasts and videos are incredibly powerful for long-term trust building, because people can hear your voice, they can see your face, and they'll feel connected to you in a deeper way than short-form content alone. And then finally, be patient, but be strategic, because this isn't about sitting back and just waiting for people to eventually buy from you. Instead, you want to be actively doing things like answering objections in your content before they come up, showing social proof in different ways that people like them have gone before them and had success, and giving people multiple entry points to your offer, delivered in different, new and refreshing ways. And this will all pay off in the long run. So that concludes my big data analysis across my business. There's definitely tons to learn from all of this, but if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, start treating your content, your emails, your visibility as long-term trust building system, not a short-term conversion tool, because the people who are going to become your clients in 6, 12 or 18 months plus time are probably already watching you right now. And if this little series of a couple of episodes had made you start want to look at your own data so that you can spot patterns in your specific business and client journeys, but you're not sure how to set this up, feel free to send me a message. I'm always happy to point you in the right direction. You can contact me on Instagram. I'll put my handle, Dietitians in Business, in the show notes of this episode, or drop me an email, hello@saraharmonbushell.com. Bye for now.
That's it for another week. Thank you so much for joining me as we explore the abundance of strategies to help you recapture that feeling of possibility and excitement as you drive your business forwards and beyond the clinic room. If you found today's episode inspirational, then don't forget to like and subscribe to the show to stay in the loop for more valuable advice that I'm going to be sharing each week. If you want to be the first to hear about new episode releases, news and ways that I can support your business growth, then please don't forget to check out the links in the show notes, and you can also connect with me from there. Don't keep me a secret. I would be delighted if you left a review and shared this podcast with your colleagues. Until next time, bye for now.